Okay.
Hey, I'm Tet.
I'm Thaisa.
Christina. And I'm Yulia.
And this is Girlhood. Welcome to another episode of Girlhood. How are we doing today? Are you guys ready to jump into it?
Oh yeah.
For sure.
She's ready.
Ready
Guys,
for
okay,
the
let's do
girliest topic.
Yeah.
So Thaisa, what are we talking about today?
So I was thinking we can start this podcast episode off with talking about something, we've all had and have to deal with every month. Our periods. Yeah. How old were you when you got your first period?
I don't know. Grade 7? How old were you in grade 7?
Like, I think 11, 12.
Well, so around there,
Yeah.
probably.
How about you?
12.
12? I think I was 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Or
I weirdly, I have zero memory of the event. I have no idea what happened. I don't know how I felt. I have no idea.
yeah.
I don't remember getting my period for some reason.
How old were you?
I just started grade 9. So I was, I probably would have been 14, but I have a late birthday, so I was 13.
Okay.
But I was in my teenage years, for sure.
You know what's weird, though? I do remember, I remember coming to my mom and being like, I think I'm on my period, and she gave me pads or whatever, but there wasn't a lot of blood. It wasn't, a couple days long or whatever, and then the next month I didn't have it. Is that common? Do you know?
I feel like it...
Mine was
that
very,
makes sense.
mine wasn't heavy. Mine was very opposite of heavy.
I think it's little...
I don't know what that was. It was just
She's just like, hey,
I'm here,
hey,
by the
girly,
way.
I'm on my
But
way.
I definitely at that point knew what it was from school and it was I wasn't
Yeah.
what is happening to me.
So we were all pretty much around the same age when we got it, I'd say.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I read that girls are actually getting their periods way earlier. They're 8 or 9 years old getting their periods. Isn't that?
That's
9
tough.
Is crazy.
That's-
What was that,
yeah.
grade 2, 3?
I don't like
Three?
Yeah.
God.
So instead of grade 8,
Wild.
it's grade 3. This is the article I found. It's called Why Are Girls Getting Their Periods So Young? It's by Virginia Soulsmith. And yeah, she talked about this girl who got hers at the age of 7. That's grade
That's 2.
1 or 2.
Yeah, well, yeah,
That's-
1, 2.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
oh my God, that's my sister's age.
You basically just started school. Real school.
That's
you know?
terrifying. Is that
You're learning how
Can
to
that be-
read at that age.
a traumatic
It says 3 weeks before her 8th birthday, Josie got her period at school, and her mother, Megan, stopped at the drugstore for supplies before picking up her daughter, and she said that they didn't have there was no products that existed for someone of her
Yeah.
Age.
size because everything was
that makes
teen or
sense.
tween.
Yeah.
So everything's a lot bigger for the 6-year-old or 7, sorry, but
Even
yeah.
as a mom, I feel I would be like, whoa.
I'd be like, what
this
happened?
and yeah, it even
this is
says
too
that
young.
the daughter Josie, she was having body odor, all before
Oh,
the age.
right.
So she was starting to develop as we do probably when
Yeah,
we're
that's
12
what I'm saying.
or 11.
Do you start developing much quicker?
Yeah,
That's,
she developed breast buds by the summer before 2nd grade.
Wow.
yeah, because I remember
crazy.
I don't know if this is TMI, but I remember my legs were so hairy, my armpits were I was a hairy
Puberty
girl.
Puberty hit you.
I was begging my mom. This is, you know what?
We'll get into
Next
the next
episode.
one. We'll get into the
Next episode.
Stay tuned. Tune in.
I don't know. I just feel that's a lot of responsibility for someone that young. When I was 7, 8 years old, what was I thinking about? What responsibility did I have? But now when you get your period at that young, it's okay, well, you need to, always have pads or tampons or whatever with you. And then it's you need to, you don't have to track your cycle, but just you need to be prepared for when your period's coming. And I just feel that's, I don't know, that could be scary and overwhelming for someone.
Oh, 100%. Even I was talking to my sister recently who's 12, and I was like, so, are you excited to get your period? And she's like, no, you weirdo. But even she was like, oh, tampons sound scary, and I don't want to deal with that and all that kind of stuff,
Another thing that I read about periods was that, in different cultures, they I guess, appreciate, or they like
Celebrate,
yeah. They celebrate like when a woman or a girl gets her period, they do different things. So I was reading this one, and the book is called The Little Red Book, and it's basically like a accumulation of different like stories from different women like around the world that have just share like a little short story about them like getting their periods or whatever. And this one woman, she was talking about, she's a single mom, and she has a son, and every month when her period comes, because of like her culture, they like collect the blood, they put the blood into like the plants around the house or like in the garden or whatever, like just a few drops whatever, and it's supposed to make like the like plants like grow and like be very beautiful for like the season or the next season or something like that. And what was interesting to me is that like she talked a lot about her son, because her son was like younger. I think he was probably like 4 or 6 or something. And like she was saying like he was so excited when I got my period, because like he would help me, like he'd love helping me do this because he thought it was so like, you know, beautiful, whatever. And like I'm like, wow, that's like, because I guess like my point here is like that's like a very different, like when I was reading that, I've never heard of someone like celebrating their period like that, right?
It's a different mentality.
Right?
Yeah.
But also another thing was because like maybe because where we live and how we were raised, like the stigma that, you know, guys and periods.
Well, yeah, you would think like a little boy would be like, ew, that's so
It's
gross.
so gross, right?
Yeah.
But I was reading it and I was like, wow, this is actually kind of like, I don't know, like heartwarming. And like, yeah, it might be weird, but like it's also a way for them to bond and like to spend time together. But like then I think of the concept, I'm also like, that's a little odd. That's because it's like your blood. You know, it's not just like.
Yeah, but it's good to like normalize at least like acknowledging it and talking about it
Yeah.
and not
Oh, yeah.
just hiding it and pretending like
It doesn't exist,
happen.
right?
Yeah.
Well, because that kind of like reminded me. Remember when we were in what was it, grade 6 or 7 or something, and we all got pulled into like the classroom during recess. We were separated from the boys, and the boys went and had fun, and then we were like sat in the classroom and talked about periods. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were just trying to like give us information about it, and I think they were just trying to make it so like girls felt comfortable like asking questions. Maybe they thought like we'd feel weird about it if the boys were there, but it's probably the opposite. Like if the boys were there, we'd be like, oh, this is okay to talk about around boys,
Yeah.
and we don't have to like feel a type of way about it.
I feel like it
I
further
think.
stigmatized
Yeah.
periods and like created that pretty obvious divide between like girls and boys. Because I guess like through puberty, like, well, with puberty, like girls really start to feel different and they're developing, and then same with boys. But I feel like when you're kids, you just play together and like everything's fine, and you just don't really see like a huge difference between girls and boys because everyone's just like friends with each other. But yeah, I just wish that, like looking back, I wish that maybe we had like some sort of like anonymous box where people would, or girls would put their girls and boys would put their questions into, and then maybe like they'd read it out loud and then answer those questions. But I think it's a conversation that both boys and girls should have.
Because I'm sure boys also have questions.
Yeah, as they
And
should.
they don't figure it out until like much later when they're comfortable enough to ask.
Yeah.
You know what I
Or
mean?
they get a girlfriend
Yeah.
years later.
Yeah, and vice versa. I'd be curious to know like what's going on with the boys. Like, are
Yeah.
they experiencing
Yeah.
the same things?
Yeah.
Like, are they like
How's they
dealing
getting
with this?
periods?
You know what? I remember it was like, I don't think it was after that conversation that we had with like the girls and boys separate. It was one time either some guys were inside and then we were talking about it with the teacher. I don't remember fully, but I remember this one kid. We were talking about periods, and then he goes to the teacher. He raises his hand. He's like pissed off. He's like, so you're telling me girls have clean blood every month and guys don't?
What the hell is this?
Yeah, like he sounded pissed. Like, and I just remember being like,
I got my period pretty late. I feel like it's not even late. Like I was 13, which is a pretty normal time, but
Yeah.
I got my period after everybody I knew got their period. So I remember when I got it, I was just so excited. But like the time leading up to it, I literally thought that there was something wrong with me because I was the only one who wasn't getting their period. And I would just like tell my mom about it. And I was like, oh my God, I have to go to the doctor. Like, I'm dying. I have cancer or something. Like, why am I not getting my period?
Yeah.
Everything was fine. Eventually I got it. And it was just like, it's a struggle that, like, figuring it out is a struggle that I have, like, still to this day. Because your period, just, like, so many things affect your period. Like, you know, like your hormones, your stress levels, like the way that you eat, like the way that you exercise, just how much sleep you get, just everything. And it's so hard to have a normal schedule. It's so hard to, like, know when you're having your period. And, like, I'm so underprepared sometimes. Like, I don't bring my like, I use pads. That's my poison. That's my choice of poison. And, like, there have been so many times where I literally, like, a couple months ago, like, I was at work, and for some reason, my period just loves to come when I'm not prepared and when I'm at work.
Oh my God.
And, like, I'd be sitting at the computer, like, I'd be charting, whatever, and then I just, like, and then I stand up, and I was just, like, and then you just feel the
worst. When you think you have your period and you have to stand up in front of people, like when there's other people around, you're like, God damn, what's gonna happen?
And then you just feel it, and you're like,
yeah.
no. Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, like, I have to go to the bathroom, which, like, at, like, my job, it's not, like, you're always busy, so it's
So
not
what do you
always,
do
like,
for the people listening?
well, I go to the bathroom.
No, your job.
Oh, my job?
So I go to the bathroom.
I'm a NICU nurse, so, like...
So she's constantly busy and on her feet.
Exactly, yeah. But...
and she goes to the bathroom.
Yeah, so then I go to the bathroom, I run to the bathroom whenever I can, and then I, like, see that I, like, bled through my pants, but I feel like I'm, like, at this point, like, I'm 23 years old, and I'm like, I just don't care.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just don't care.
For
So,
sure.
like, okay, I have a stain on my pants, thank God, not too visible. Do I have a change of clothes, change of underwear? No. My underwear's covered in blood, so what do? I take, like, roll of toilet paper, clean myself up, shove it, like, in my underwear, like, so it's like...
I think we've all been there.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
all been there where you don't have a pad or a tampon, you're like,
Yeah.
toilet paper.
All the time.
And then just, like, every, 2 hours, I'm just like, I think I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Yeah, you have to check it so often because
So-
it's, like, thin.
And it's so uncomfortable, too, because
Yeah.
you feel like you're gonna, like, spill
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
No.
And then obviously I don't have any Advil with me because I didn't come prepared, and I'm, like, cramping, my boobs hurt, it's just... And then I'm like, okay, eight more hours to go.
Yeah. Honestly, when I was younger, though, I was, like, scared to ask another girl if she had pads or tampons.
Oh, me too.
Why? And now I'm like, yo, girl, you got the goods. Do you have them? I need them.
No, literally.
But before I was like, I can't even ask. I can't let them know. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, I think it's like that's all like the stigma around it, but I also think it's like a fear, like, oh, like, or at least that's how I felt. Like I always felt like fear when like I'd have to ask someone if they had an extra one, just because I was like, this is embarrassing, this is like gross. When like she probably was on hers, like you know.
yeah, literally.
But even like I've had like people older than us, and like everyone's just so discreet about it. They're like they come and they whisper to you, and they're like, "Do you have a tampon?" And then when you give it to them, you have to like they're like, "Don't show it."
Tampons, man. They're scary things.
Who are they?
I remember your first experience.
They're scary. I don't know what you guys like. When I was younger, like the thought of a tampon, I was like, that's to go in where? Like what? And then I was like, no, I think I'll just stick to pads. I went to Cuba for like our grad trip, and
So we were 17, right?
yeah, like it
16,
was pretty,
17.
Yeah, it was like
I
a
think
grade 12 grad trip, right?
So we were 17.
Yeah, so it was pretty late, like later. Because I had it for like 5 years now, but I was only sticking to pads. But then we went to Cuba, and I wanted to go to the beach, so I had to go get some tampons.
No, okay, let me tell you the story.
Okay, yeah, you're better.
Okay, let me tell you the story. So, yeah, like she said, we were in Cuba, and she was like, oh, like, she was, because, we track our periods on, like, the app, whatever, right? So she's like, oh, like, I'm supposed to get it, like, I don't know, the second last day or the third last day, and I was like, okay, like, make sure, like, you pack, like, tampons, like, just in case, like, you never know.
Yeah.
So whatever, we're on the trip, great time, whatever. And she gets her period, and I remember you were wearing black her black.
Yeah, you gave me your black
Underwear.
You wearing
Underwear.
black underwear that you put on as a bathing suit, whatever. And then I remember you put a pad on, the black, and it was like it looked like you were wearing a pad.
Yeah.
Like a diaper, whatever.
Like with the wings
Sticking out, whatever.
And I was like, can you guys see them? They're like,
yeah.
I was like, damn.
And then
The contrast.
It's there.
It was like white bathing suit,
Yeah.
but that's that.
No, even then, it's like,
Yeah.
you can't really hide those things.
No. But then I remember, like, you were like, can I see it? And we were like, yeah. And then I was like, but didn't your mom send you with, like, tampons? Like, didn't she, like, pack you tampons or whatever? And she goes, yeah. So she goes into the bathroom. And I don't remember the order. I don't know if you were, like, screaming and, like...
Dude, I was actually crying from the beginning. I'm like, I'm sorry, girls. I don't know, because they were already doing this for a while now. And I'm like, how do you guys do this? Because this hurts way too much. I actually started tearing up. I'm like, it hurts. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to the beach. It's fine.
And then I think you came out with the box, or I either go into the bathroom and see the box, and it's tampons that are made, they're the ones that are made of the cardboard around.
Yeah.
Bro, I've pretty much only used tampons since I started my period, and those things hurt. Those things are terrible. They're
Honestly, I thought I was doing it wrong because I never did it. And they were like doing like a step-by-step.
Like you had the instructions in front of you?
No. You guys were telling me like,
okay.
and then you normally. I was like, okay, like it was
leg up on the sink.
like no, I swear to God. Oh, that's another thing.
No,
You know,
that's
low key
not
tampons, they kind of let you explore down there.
Yeah, you get familiar.
You get familiar with yourself. Yes.
Yeah, no,
much
that's
earlier
like
on.
that's like when I first tried the Diva Cup. And I was just in that bathroom. I was butt naked at one point, just like trying to figure out the angles and like. And I'm like,
seriously.
am I gonna have to do this every time? Just strip and like just figure it out.
I was
Yeah.
this close to being like, ladies, one of you are doing this for me. Like,
And we would have.
No shame.
No shame.
but no, and then you gave me the plastic one.
The
It
regular.
still was a little uncomfortable because it was the first time.
Yeah.
But it was so much easier.
Yeah.
So get the right brands, guys. They will help out a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and find
100%.
what works for you. There's like so many
So many-
options.
yeah.
Yeah, well, like you said, how you use the Diva Cup,
I use
right?
the
Yeah.
Diva
So how
Cup.
do you like that?
I love the Diva Cup. Like I said, there's a bit of a learning curve. Like I think most people find that because it's like a different way of like putting it in, and then getting comfortable with it and making sure like there's no leaks. But I love it. It's the only thing I use. I really recommend it. And yeah, because it's like reusable. It's easy. The only thing with it is you do have to like take it out and rinse it out. So if you're like in like a public washroom, it's a little bit harder. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Also, I was gonna say like, don't feel like pressured to use a certain thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Find
Like,
what works for you.
yeah, like I feel like a lot of girls are like, honestly, yeah. Back in elementary, a lot of people were using tampons, and then I actually got like, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, oh, like you use pads, like.
Yeah.
I was like,
felt that
oh,
too.
I was like,
Really?
so then I kind of felt pressured to like use tampons, but I was like, no, like this is what works for me. Like,
Yeah.
don't feel pressure to like just because someone goes like to each their own. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
whatever
if you
works
wanna
with
do
you.
all
Like,
that's
what I'm saying.
When I was first having my period, for the first like couple of years, I think until I got out of high school, I was like, why do women complain about this? Like, I'm fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I
Yeah.
bleed a little.
Oh, yeah,
I put
yeah.
a tamp. It's fine. But then I started getting cramps, and I was like, oh, I get it now. Like,
Yeah.
this is a thing. I need
They
something
hurt.
for this. It hurts, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think the point of that is like, your period will change. Like things will happen. You'll go through different phases. Like whatever. Some people start doing like birth control and that like messes with your period, and then just like so yeah, that's normal. Like if things start changing, I think it depends. Probably talk to your doctor. I would if things start changing too much, just to be like, what's going on? Is this normal or whatever? But yeah.
if you could tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Okay, I think the first one that comes to mind like is I know it's so basic, but it's like always be prepared. Cuz I like same problem. Like I even today, bro, like I don't pack tampons ever. I don't. I literally, you don't understand how many times I've had toilet paper up my cooch. Like I just like because I just don't. Like I'm so bad. Like And the thing is too, it's funny because like I have little, like I bought, like I was like, I need to prepare, I need to make it like good for myself. And I bought like little like pouches and I stuffed them all with tampons and all with like Advil. They're in my room. They are packed, but they are in my room. But like also don't be afraid to like ask people, because that was a thing that like, you know, I was very like, oh, like, you know, do you have it? Like I was like hiding it. Like I was like,
scream it out, ladies. Yo, you got a tampon? Go along with your advice. Sorry.
I have ticklish legs.
To go along with your idea, like, yeah, like I think all of us have like a tracking app.
Yeah.
And it's so sick. Like these apps actually like tell you so many things. Like this is, and it like, well, I think you have to pay a little extra, but it tells you like why you're feeling a certain way and like gives you in depth. Like it's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome.
I would say my advice is find what works for you. Try different things. Talk to people. Talk to your friends, because they'll give you advice like, oh, I tried this and this worked for me and then I did this, and like you just like, just don't stick to one thing, because you might find something that's way better for you and way more comfortable and works with you. Like, because for example, like the Diva Cup works for me, but maybe if I was working in a certain setting where I couldn't like go and like change it and like figure things out and like in a public environment, I wouldn't use it. I'd try
And also,
something else.
like don't feel pressured. Like I felt so pressured to like
Go to tampons.
go to tampons, and it's like, well, that just didn't work for me. It made me feel uncomfortable. Like stick to what makes you feel comfortable.
Okay, so with that said, I'm Tet.
I'm Thaisa.
Christina.
I'm Yulia.
And
We was girlhood.
And this was
girlhood.